Hello, welcome to Brap Life. My name's Angel. Thank you guys so much for listening. This week's episode is kind of a milestone. We are at 80 episodes, and this is amazing. I honestly didn't think we would ever get to this point with when I first started the podcast. I really thought that maybe we'd get like a handful of episodes and then somebody else would pick it up and start doing what I was doing, and then I wouldn't do it anymore. But it's been so cool to have so much support and to have people really want to come on here. The friendships that I've been able to make through off-road riding, but then also from this podcast, just sitting and talking to people for like an hour or 2 hours has really helped solidify a lot of friendships for me. But it's really cool because it also solidifies that inspiration. I get to know people at a different level, and that's what I get to share with you guys. And it's really, really cool to see that people like the Brady Camps are inspiring people all over the world now. So thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being part of this, because I couldn't do this without you guys. On that note, this week's episode is with my friend Judy. So last year I met Judy in North Carolina right before Battle of the Goats. She was brand new to Hard Enduro. She hadn't been around it before, and it's so funny that like a quick 20-30 minute ride turned into this amazing friendship. So we met on the East Coast. We've now ridden on the West Coast. It's been really cool. Our friendship has survived through all of this distance, and you guys get to be a part of it today. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is our usual typical Angel Judy banter, and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you next week.
We go. Welcome to Brap Life officially.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here.
So this is lucky episode number 80, and I am super, super stoked to have you on here. So for everybody listening, this is Judy. We have heard her called a lot of things, but Judy from Hard Enduro or Judy from AMA are the most common, the most appropriate names. Um, So Judy and I met last year when I went to North Carolina for Battle of the Goats. And she's just this random chick that was in the parking lot that was friends with my friend and was just like, come and ride with us. And I was like, I don't want to die before the race. And she was like, no, come on, come and ride with us. And she was on a Stark Barg. And I thought that was really cool because I think that those bikes are ridiculously hard to ride. And she was just out there being a badass. So I don't know. I don't honestly know what happened, but it was like an instant friendship was formed, and we started talking. She became like one of my best friends, and then we kept seeing each other at events, and it's been super awesome. She's actually one of the few people who's come to my place here in Arizona and actually like visited me, and it was really cool. So it's been awesome because we've been East Coast together, we've been West Coast together. Now we have to make it to like the middle of the country together and international. Like we have this plan to take over the world. So
It's our evil plan. It's brewing.
I don't really know if it's evil because like no one's gonna get hurt. I feel like because it's us, like if we rise, we bring people up with us. So I feel like, we take over the world, the world's just a better place. So
Our bikes may get hurt, but we will. We will thrive.
well, yeah, but that's what hard enduro is about.
That is true. That is true. I've definitely learned that in the past year since
Yeah.
meeting you as well, that the bikes take a beating, but luckily we don't
Yes.
comparatively. So I'm very happy about that.
Most of the time.
Mostly.
I don't know.
My ice pack is hidden from today.
Yeah, I
We'll keep
was
that
gonna
tucked
say
away.
there's been a couple times where I've taken a beating and I'm just like, maybe I don't want to ride for a couple days. That usually goes away very fast. I don't like the last time I got actually injured was like last March, and I really only took like a week off, and then my arm was like swollen and like full of fluid, and I was still trying to ride and it hurt so bad, and I was like, I just want to have fun. So yeah, it doesn't keep us off the bike for long. So, Judy, since everybody here listening doesn't really know you, why don't you go ahead and we'll start with the questions first. So, the big question is, how did you get started riding? Because I feel like that is going to lead into how you got involved with the AMA, how you got involved with hard enduro. So don't worry, I'll remind you of these questions. But yeah, like, how did you get started riding?
So I guess in college, I was definitely late into riding.
Mhm.
My father rode. My mom actually started when I was in high school and said, if I get a bike, I better be out of the house. So my mom actually kept her motorcycle license hidden from me for a very long time, and kind of anything from back in the day, I didn't really know too much. And it actually was my dad that ended up showing me some photos of her and her first bike, and then everything else kind of just went from there. Um, and then my dad was always around motorcycles, and they were around, but I never really did anything too big or extravagant with it. So when I was 21, I ended up with a CBR 600RR. And then my
Ooh,
dad had bought me a 1978 DT 125 enduro dirt bike. So I
okay.
had those, and basically I just kind of learned how to ride, and I started getting into it, but I wasn't super immersed. And then it wasn't until when I was in college, I went to my first Supercross event, and I said, this is really cool. How do I get
Mhm.
involved with, more dirt and just more riding? And it kind of just snowballed from there. So I learned that my mom rode. My dad actually taught my mom and I to ride in the same exact place. So it's really cool.
Oh,
Her old Moto Guzzi, there's a photo of her right in front. Hopefully I can pan this in. There's a photo of her right in front of the water, right in my dad's backyard. And then there's also a photo of me in that exact same place learning how to ride with my dad on my DT 125. So it's
oh.
really cool. It's been in the bloodline for a while, and then everything from there. Now I'm hooked. So here we are.
So when you first started riding, were you riding trails or were you riding track? Because you talked about Supercross.
Neither. I actually started on the street. So a lot of it
Oh,
was street routing, and then just kind of going through with the CBR. And then I ended
yeah.
up with some cruisers. I got heavily involved with Harley events and just cruiser events,
Mhm.
distance, etc. I ended up doing a 2,800-mile solo trip on my VTX 1800 a few
Good
years
Lord.
ago. Yeah, it was a fun time. I ended up doing it. I didn't know how far I would make it. I didn't know if the bike would make it. It was a 2002. I still have that bike to this day. I welded almost everything on that bike. It was when I learned how to weld, so it wasn't very promising welds. However, it held up. So she survived, still in the garage. And then yeah, I got really immersed in with like Babes Right Out. I got really involved.
Mhm.
I founded the Litas of North Jersey, so I started with that when I was in college as well.
Yeah.
And anything motorcycle related. And I don't think I got into dirt, even though it was my job. I was working with the AMA and Supercross. I didn't
Mhm.
really get involved in dirt bikes until I think a year and a half ago, like
Okay.
solely doing dirt. And now here's just the path that I'm on. So it's pretty gnarly.
So you got involved in hard enduro pretty quickly then, like after you started with dirt.
Yeah. It was actually by accident. So I was supposed to be in Denver and Salt Lake working
Uh-huh.
Supercross. I
Uh-huh.
ended up having some things happening at home, and
Mhm.
home at the time was North Carolina, which it still is.
Yeah.
And I ended up not being able to go. So I was looking up AMA sanctioned races in my area. And then Battle of the Goats, also where I met you,
Yeah.
that came up. And I ended up getting in contact with Matt Musgrove and just giving him a call saying, hey, this is what I do. I've never been to a hard enduro event before, but if you need a hand, I'd love to come. I just want to kind of experience it. I've watched, enduro burros, the hard enduro burros on YouTube
Yes.
before. That was my
Yeah.
only background that I had. And
Which is
Matt took me
slightly
in.
different from a race because they show
Yes.
some really cool stuff, but you don't like see the carnage like in those videos. Like you see the really cool stuff, but there's a whole other side to it.
I mean, But needless to say, even when I went to Brushy for the first time, I think that was maybe my second time, if not my first time at Brushy Mountain. And just the way that Tyler laid out those courses and then seeing
Mhm.
even the amateurs go through that enduro cross course, it was one of the coolest experiences that I have ever had at any motorcycle, motocross, road, street, whatever it was. It was one of the coolest motorcycle as a whole events that I've ever been to. So
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that.
I think a big part of it, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think a big part of it is the community. Everybody's so welcoming, but everybody pitches in. Like, I mean, I feel like every time I've been around a race, and Brushy was actually where I went to my first US Hard Enduro. So that was really funny that that was like yours too, a year after mine. Um, I it's just a totally different atmosphere because I've been around Supercross, I've been around motocross, and it's not quite as tight knit. And it comes to the point where for hard enduro, it feels like family. And that's it. Like this last weekend at King of the Motos, I was like, I feel like I'm at home right now. Like all of my people, not all of my people, but a lot of my people are here. Like it's just so cool. Like I could go from like camp to camp and just see so many of my friends and just so many people like wishing each other well and helping with bikes and like people from different states helping each other find parts for their bikes. And I thought that was really awesome.
The camaraderie of this sport as a whole is something I've never seen before. It's something that I've never experienced. I think the closest that I've ever gotten to that would have been the Litas with the road and the street.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I mean, still seeing these guys and girls out on the course, helping each other through the course and not having any spectators that are allowed to do anything, and just
Mhm.
the basis of it, it's, hey, you're all in this together. It's not you against each other, it's you against the obstacles in front of you. And you can
Yeah.
choose to work together with your, with whomever's at your side at the time, whoever else is trying to take on this boulder with you
Yep.
or whatever obstacle. It's really cool to watch. It's unlike Supercross, and it's unlike anything else that I've ever worked when it comes to any event. So
Yeah.
couldn't
Yeah, I
agree more.
absolutely love that. That was definitely something that when I started watching hard enduro was
Mm-hmm.
years ago. I first saw Erzberg and it at that level, those guys were even helping each other. And I think that that was something that stuck out to me because at that time I wasn't really into Supercross and all of that yet, but I was like, that's really weird because like I everything I know about racing in general, it's always like you've got competition, right? So why are you helping the person next to you? But I didn't understand like how insane this stuff was. Like so that was my first introduction to like dirt bike racing really. And then I found Supercross later. So I'm really weird. Cody Webb always tells me that. And he's like, "What the hell?" Cuz I knew who Cody Webb was before I knew who Cooper Webb was, for example. So like I and usually it's the other way around, but yeah, it's just I don't know what it was about it, but I saw it and I was like, I want to do that one day. And it's just so cool. But like seeing it in person, like the first time that I was at Battle of the Goats, well, almost 2 years ago now, um, like I was like, oh my God, this vibe is so much better in person than it is just watching it on TV. Like watching it on TV is awesome. Watching Erzberg is amazing every time. Romaniacs, all of that stuff, absolutely phenomenal to watch. But being at an event is a whole nother level. It doesn't matter if it's here in the States or overseas, it is insane. But I will tell you that as cool as it is being at our events here in the US, I was mind blown by Erzberg. Like it was like being at a festival. I was like so overwhelmed by the amount of people. It was insane. Like we thought there was a lot of people at King of the Motos this last weekend. There's like 10 times that at Erzberg. I was like, I cannot even imagine lining up for that. I was freaking out about King of the Motos.
And that's all for dirt bikes. See, because with King of the
Mhm.
Hammers or King of the Motos, it's shared with King of the Hammers, right? So that's all of these off-roaders, whether it's two, four-wheel, etc. I
Yeah.
feel like with Erzberg, it's solely surrounding that dirt bike
Yeah.
community, that off-road community on two wheels. And
Mhm.
every time I hear you talk about it, every time that I see a post that you have about it, it just makes me want to go even more and just to see it. And
Yeah.
that's, I think, another goal of US Hard Enduro. That's what we are trying to achieve, right? And we're
Yeah.
vastly growing at this astronomical rate, right?
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we already have that community, right? We have that core. If
Yeah.
we keep growing at the pace that we will, I think that would be in our future, right? I think that is
Yeah.
totally an achievable goal, and we'll be
Yeah.
competing with SIM, but
I think that the biggest way for me personally to grow the sport is, of course, what US Hard Enduro is already doing, is to support youth riders more. And with the schoolboy classes that have now come out, like I think that's really awesome. Like
yeah,
to allow these kids something to step up into out of the youth class and to move up and have their own class. I think that's a
yeah,
really amazing thing because our youth riders are phenomenal, and they're all such good kids. First of all, second of all, they all work super hard. I haven't met a single one that is like entitled in any way. I don't really know that you can be entitled in hard enduro because like you have to put in the work. Like I think Matt Adams was the one who said it, like, you can say anything that you want, but I think he said something along the lines of, "The second you get in the woods, like, the truth comes out." Like,
it's
you can say
extremely
you
humbling.
exactly, and you
Extremely.
can put in time and you can learn all these techniques, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're gonna be good at racing, and, like, there's just so many other things. I was just having a conversation with somebody about this earlier that it's the line that you wanted to take is gone now, and there's 5 other lines, but 2 of them are probably out of your skill level, and one of
Yeah.
them has a dude who you're probably gonna run over if you try and go that way, and the other one is not ideal because it's, like, super off camber, and it's just like, "I could probably do it, but it's sketchy. Okay, so do I wanna wait in line?" And you're doing all
Mhm.
of this as you're moving towards this and trying to figure it out. So if I don't really know that there's a way to train for that part of it. Maybe there is, and I just don't know it, but I haven't. The only way that I know is that I've gone out with like big groups of people
Mhm.
and I've been the lapper for them and they like have to figure it out around me. I have only been able to do that around one person, but I
Right?
passed somebody, so that's all that matters.
Absolutely. And that
But
matters as well.
exactly. But it's just a totally different world when you're actually doing the race.
Yeah. Yeah. I could imagine it being a lot more difficult because being that I got into this series and then, kind of went straight to working the series and being so heavily involved, I just watching the first turn, right? Just watching that whole shot and everybody coming into
Mhm.
Chocolate Thunder this weekend, having a row of 20 riders come in to somewhere that we were just there, what, 3 weeks ago, and we were playing on those rocks. We had
Yep.
every line that we could possibly even think of to our disposal.
Yep.
And yet seeing 20 riders go up at the same time, I think I don't even know what I would have done. I'll be honest. And everyone's always in that mindset, right? You have to
Mhm.
be quick on your feet, think about what you want to do, think about what you want to hit, because even the lines that you practice, unless you're the
Yeah.
first one out there, your line is probably going to be taken. So
Mhm.
it's testing the rider, it's testing that mental process that has to come so quickly. But
Yeah.
it's definitely really cool to watch.
Yeah, and I think that that's one of the cool things about hard enduro that I like personally is that you can go through and like everything that we go through. Like I have my training loop here, and every time I go through it, it's different because rocks move. I could go through it and then go back 5 minutes later and I kicked a rock into a different spot and now,
Yeah.
it's different. So the ideal line isn't as ideal anymore. It's usually not that big of a difference in 5 minutes, but sometimes side by side goes through. Um, but
Or
it's
50 dirt bikers go through,
or
it
50 dirt bikers go through, unless
yep,
you're Tristan Hart. So, and then you're the first
that's
person to go through.
first. So,
But
hey,
yeah,
maybe on lap 5 though, when he's
that's
coming
true.
around on that fifth lap, there's still
Mhm.
there's still going to be changes, right? And even we saw here as well, and there's
Yeah.
other places where these rocks will move.
Mhm.
It's tough to plan for it, right? You have
Yeah.
to plan for the changes, and you have to plan for what you've already seen. So
Yeah. Well, I think at their level, it's like so automatic. Like they're so talented that it's
Yeah.
just like, oh, okay, that rock moved, no big deal, whatever. I'm just gonna go over it anyway. Like for you and me, normal people, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
For the
Yeah.
non-mortals, like it's not a big, like they're like whatever. So
Watching them maneuver a bike around just fuels me, and I think you as well, many of these other riders, it just fuels us just to want to do better. Because I
Mhm.
always say when I watch some of these, some of these pros get on the line, just they're not riding the bike. It feels like they're dancing with the bike. They're able to maneuver it
Yeah.
so swiftly, so smoothly. And
Mhm.
it looks effortless, we're sitting
Yes.
there, we're watching them do it and just say, oh, okay, maybe I could do that. And then you finally get to the obstacle, you're like, maybe not.
You're like,
I will
man, that
try.
looks really easy. And then you like I had somebody actually say that about Chocolate Thunder. Well, it doesn't look so bad. And I was like, you watch the pros go up it,
Yeah.
not anyone else. And so I sent them a video I took and I was like, this is not the pros and not even like C class. I was like, this is like A class. And I was like, and nobody, this is not a knock on anybody. It's just it was so dusty, things were slick, like, and then like if one person falls, that's all it takes, and then all of a sudden there's bottleneck. And so that's like it's not, again, a knock on anybody because I sure as hell wasn't making it through that easily. I struggled a lot. But I just was like, that's the difference. Like the
Mhm.
difference between A and pro class is huge, and then the difference between A and C class is huge. So it's just like sometimes people don't realize that. And then like you said, once you get up to the rock and then you're like, oh, that's not a little
You're
rock.
bigger than what I expected.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's a waterfall.
this
Like
is
that
different.
that's a 10-foot waterfall that I have to go up all of a sudden, and they made it look like a little bump. Like, no.
I will say I was very impressed with all of the riders from King of the Motos. My expectation for Chocolate Thunder was that we would actually have a little bit more of a bottleneck going into that because
Mhm.
like we were just talking about, we lined everybody up with rows of 20. And
Mhm.
that narrows very fast, right? Going up
Yes.
there, I was very, very impressed, and kind of at a loss for words with the how swiftly everybody got through that. The
Mm.
lack of bottleneck seeing there, and then everyone found lines that I didn't even see. I
Mhm.
had no idea some of those lines that people picked were even aligned, and they were able to execute. They were able to get through that and then get to the next section. So, just overall impressed with all the riders that came out, and we were at what 193 riders, I believe, at the end of
Wow.
the count, about there.
Yeah.
So with 100 and something riders, and still keeping that all clean and clear, it's
Yeah.
pretty impressive.
Yeah,
So
that's incredible. I didn't realize the number was that high. That's awesome.
we are up. We were up from last year, I believe, 40 riders, just
Heck
about
yeah.
to pick. Mm-hmm.
That's
So the growth is
awesome.
there. Very excited.
I love that. That's huge. That's absolutely
Yeah.
huge. And like I wonder what fueled that growth. Like that would be really cool to know. I don't know that we could know that, but um like
Yeah.
just that growth in general though, knowing that that's happened, like 40 more riders than last year. That's
Yeah.
incredible. Like that's 40 more people who are excited about hard enduro, like 40 more friends, like that's so exciting. I love that.
Exactly.
I
There
love
was quite a few people that are here, and they're here to race their side by sides, all of their
Mhm.
machines. I've seen a lot of them come up to me and just, I'm usually on the bike, right? I'm ripping around, going riding before work starts. And
Yeah.
they're all saying, "Hey, I just watched King of the Motos, and I want to do that next year. I want to do that
Yes.
before I race this and do
Yeah.
King of the Hammers." And I'm like, "Absolutely, come out. Why not? You're already here. You're already
Mhm.
doing it. What's an
Mhm.
extra couple days to go race King of the Motos as well? And if you want to
Yeah.
try a different discipline, like maybe that'll get the ball rolling and seeing if you like this, if you like that, and you get
Yeah.
to see almost the same portions of this course that you're going to be doing on a completely different machine, and you get to
Yeah.
go now and experience this on a dirt bike. I think that's
Yeah.
awesome.
And you see things totally different. Like,
Mm,
and I think that even just walking the track, you see things totally different on your feet than you do on your bike.
yep.
And like you're gonna look at obstacles totally different. So seeing it from the mindset of being on a bike versus being in a side by side or on a,
Yeah.
whatever, that's a huge difference. It's still the same section, but you're gonna attack it a little bit different. So, but I think that that's so cool. I think having like the co-sanctioned events like that's huge. That
Mhm.
fuels the growth for US Hard Enduro, but it also still supports like the Ultra 4 racing. And I think that that's really cool because I had never been exposed to that world. And so seeing all of that and kind of like getting to know teams, that are out there and stuff. There's a guy who was riding at King of the Motos, and I had met him and his wife about a month or so ago. They're from Australia and they race hammers, but he was also riding motos. And I think he's done it a couple years now. But
Yeah.
it's really, really cool because like I know that they have that overlap, but it was awesome. Like just I think co-sanctioned events like that are really awesome. And I talked to Matt Musgrove because he does all the work with the Hill Climb series. And so like I think it'd be cool to see more co-sanctioned events with that too, because that's something completely out of my realm. Like I've seen it on YouTube, but I haven't seen it in person, and I think that that's really crazy. Um,
Yeah.
but it would be awesome to have more of it fused together. Like, could we have hill climb at King of the Motos, like, as like one of the side
And
events or
what hill
whatever
are
we
we
have?
gonna use?
Yeah,
Are we gonna
exactly.
use in the
Like,
dunes over there, or yeah? I think that's when
yeah.
worlds
But I
collide.
that's how growth happens. Like
Yeah.
you like you've got to expose people to everything as much as you can.
Yeah.
So co-sanction events are huge for that. But also just putting it out there, like sharing. I saw so many like content creators for Ultra 4 who were like, I'm here and this is hard enduro and like this is crazy. And they're like, oh my God, like what is this? These people are like going into these rocks on dirt bikes and they were like freaking out because they've never seen it before. And it's
Yeah.
kind of cool. I saw like people like when I was on the side, people are talking about it and they're like, this is insane. Like these people are all absolutely crazy. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, we are.
Yeah. And
Just a little bit.
I think that's how everybody gets hooked, right? And that was at least
Mhm.
the case for me, so I can only really speak from my own experience. But I've been involved with AMA for so long, and I've been with them for, I guess, 7 years now. So on
Wow.
and off 7 years. It's been quite a bit. But I was only exposed to SMX, Supercross, outdoors, motocross, and
Mhm.
I didn't even really race motocross. I've been on tracks here and there, but never competitive.
Mhm.
And seeing just my first experience with Supercross, it's such a large production. It's so invigorating. It's awesome. There's so much going on. However, when I
Yeah.
went to Brushy and when I went to my first hard enduro,
Mhm.
I needed to pick my jaw up off the ground because you're watching these insane, oh my, these just insane people. I know that I'm categorizing all of us now because I'm now involved, but it's
Yeah.
just these insane obstacles, and
Mhm.
we're all looking at each other. We're like, oh, we're gonna go hit that.
Yeah.
Is that what we're gonna go do now? And we're just all on the same team, and just things that you would think are impassable, we are trying to pass. We're
Mhm.
trying to figure out a way that we can get over, around, whatever the case may be. If we needed to
Yeah.
roll our bikes over it, whatever the case. It's really cool. It's so
Yeah.
different,
Yeah.
and nobody really knows until you've actually come to an event. No one knows unless you really watched a recap of one of the races and
Mhm.
just get immersed in it.
Yeah. Yeah, even just being a spectator at one of these or even going out and seeing these people ride. Like we were essentially spectators for Tobin Miller and watching him do some insane things, him and poor Billy, up on the side of this mountain, and we're just like in awe watching because
Yeah.
we know that this stuff is possible. But like for me, I've seen a lot of it in a race. Like I've seen Tobin race and I've seen other people do similar things.
Mhm.
But the precision that Tobin has, like his clutch control that day was just so on point. And if he didn't have that, Like that
Yeah.
would have been so sketchy. But he has it. And so it wasn't, I mean, you could tell it definitely wasn't like the safest thing in the world, but nothing that we do is that safe. I mean, we're throwing ourselves at rocks essentially, um but it was super cool. And you know, him and Billy went up there, and I Billy had a minor freak out, and I love that. He's like, "You're a psycho" to Tobin because it wasn't really
But
like
he
a trail.
executed. But
Exactly, and that's the
they
thing.
both
And when
did it.
they came back, and we were just like absolutely in awe, talking about it. Everybody was talking about it, and it was so cool
Yeah.
to watch. And that was just for fun. We were just out there having fun, being on our bikes, and we
Yeah.
got to witness that. And I think that that is like what you were saying. Like it's so inspiring because you see that, and you're like, I can get to that level maybe one day
Yeah.
with a lot of work. But like, you know, that's what's possible.
Yeah.
And I think
Yeah.
that's something that, going back to what you said earlier, Hard Enduro Burros does a really good job of showing what's possible, because sometimes that stuff doesn't look possible. And we all know that everything on video, even as good as Blake and the crew do, like they do an amazing job of showing how crazy this stuff is. I've seen a couple of those places in real life, and you get there and you're like, they did this? Like, what?
It looks a lot
Like,
smaller on camera.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
my God. I mean, it looks huge on camera, but it's gigantic in real life. And you're like,
Yeah.
I don't even understand. Like
Yeah.
if you guys have time before you go back east, we got to go to St. George, because I'll show you a couple of these places, and it's just like, holy crap.
Dude, I would love
um,
it. I
yeah.
mean, going back to Tobin's clutch control, right? So before we get
Yes.
off of that topic,
Yes.
we had the Kobe 450 adventure bike. So we had
Yes.
brought that out. We were riding that. We had the two
Hmm.
Huskies. I think one of our Huskies was out of commission.
Hmm.
And so we're out there on an AGV trying to tackle some of these trails. Granted, it killed it. I was
Yeah.
impressed with this, like with an adventure bike, like, you know what I mean? And mostly we see all these 302 strokes, but it was taking on these
Mhm.
trails like a champ. And I remember just having Tobin out there. He's never touched this bike in his entire life. He's
Mhm.
never ridden any there. He might have ridden something like it, but nothing that weekend. He
Yeah.
took the bike out and just starts doing little endos. He is just doing all of these finesse tricks, and he's never
Mhm.
even rode this
Yeah.
bike before. It's his
That
first
was
time.
slightly infuriating.
But like I said
Yeah.
earlier, made it look effortless. It was
Yeah.
just like a dance with the
100%.
bike. It was like he's been riding this for years, and that
Yeah.
just comes with the clutch control and the practice, and it's just so impressive. And like that's another thing that's fueling me to get better, right? Because I
Yeah.
see him able to do this, and it's so inspiring. So
Mhm.
inspiring. But
Yeah, yeah, he jumped on that bike and was immediately doing wheelies, and I was like, "Of course he would." Like,
it's like, what can I do? I don't know. I don't know how to turn this on yet, but as soon as it was
yeah,
on, then
exactly. And then he was just like you said, it was a dance. It was like he was one with the bike, and I
yeah,
thought that that was awesome. But that's another thing that I love about this sport, is that the pros in this sport are willing to not really show off, but like be around the people who aren't at the pro level. I can't tell you how many times over the last month training that I was out with people who were way outside of my skill set, who let me be there. You know, I mean, I posted video, or I posted pictures, and I had people going, "Dude, what the hell?" Because I had people had such high expectations of me, and I was like, "No, no, 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 no." Like I was on the same area as like Tobin Miller, Quinn Wenzel, Louise Forsley,
yeah,
like Joe and Mesa. Like I was in that area. I was not anywhere near them. Like they started, and then I was like following their dust trail. Like that was not it wasn't close.
but
But
hey, you're hitting the
but
same terrain, which I think is
exactly.
awesome. And with hard
Yeah.
enduro, it's like no matter how fast you are, you can always go and train in the same place as
Yeah.
some of these pro riders, some of these A riders, and still be a C rider, still be a beginner, be in
Yeah.
that same area, still be doing seemingly the same trail, just different areas of it, but you're
Yeah.
all training together, and it's
Yeah.
Oh my
And
gosh, it's
it's
amazing.
confidence building. Like it's hugely
Absolutely.
confidence building for me. Like when we did motos that one day, I got super lost. I went up the wrong canyon and then I had to come back down. But Tobin was like, I think he did 12 laps in that 2 hours or something like that. It was like
Yeah.
he was flying. And every time he wasn't even going that fast, honestly, because he came
Mhm.
by me and he's just like, hey. And I'm like, oh, I hate the fact that you're not out of breath right now. And I'm over here like struggling and I'm like, like,
Hey,
but
I will be
like,
honest though. Oh, you.
go ahead.
I have never seen somebody. I personally would not be able to pick up my bike that many times, and we have made many comments. I don't know where you have this super strength come out of, but good lord, good lord,
Well, thank you.
I'm giving you
It's
that praise. You deserve that.
absolutely ridiculous amount of determination. Because this is what I wanted to do for such a long time. Before I even had a bike, I wanted to do hard enduro, and I didn't know how hard it was gonna be, but I love it. Like the challenge
Yeah.
is so amazing. And like I said, I've gotten to ride with so many good riders ever since I started. I mean, I one of the first people that I ever rode with outside of like my husband and his friends was Graham Jarvis. Like I you don't get to like do that and then not be inspired. You know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
ridiculously inspired. I saw uh, what's possible right away. And I knew I had a lot of work. I still have a lot of work to get even remotely close.
But
I have a lot
everybody
of work for all of that. But yeah, I mean, we all do.
does.
But that's part of it is I love the challenge and I love the fact that, you know, like you were saying, I go out there with these guys and I'm in the same area. I'm not doing the same obstacle, but I'm doing the baby version. And to me, that's amazing. And like when those guys come over and they like hype you up, or they're like, you actually did that really well. Like, or, you know, I was surprised that you did this. Billy was like walking me through how to like zap up this section. And
Mhm.
I was so tired. Like it was the end of our motos. And I was just like, okay, okay, I do it like this. And I made it up. And he was so excited for me. He's just like, yeah. And he like almost jumped off his bike. Like he was so stoked about it. And I was like, there's no reason an A rider should be getting that excited about like, I call myself a D rider, but like C rider, you know what I mean? Like, but he was, and like him and Tobin were like helping me, and like nobody said that they
Yeah.
had to do that. There's nothing that said that they had to. They still took me out. Quinn Wenzel still checked on me to make sure that I had a way. If I got separated for too long, did somebody have a way to get a hold of me? Like, do I have my Garmin with me, like to, you know, my GPS or whatever? And I was just like, oh my God, like that's really cool. But they all do that. And I don't know of any other discipline where you can get that. Like you can go be even near those people when they're
Yeah.
training.
I agree. It's definitely it's something different.
Yeah.
Very, very common. It's also equally as special, I believe, as well. So
Yeah, yeah. It's very, very awesome. I feel super lucky to ride with the people that I ride with. And I mean, I like I said, one of the first people I ever got to ride with was Graham Jarvis, but then I also get excited about riding with you because you're a level above me. And you know, it's just like I get just as excited to ride with you as I do with Tobin. Or, you know, like I appreciate every single person and what I can learn from them. And like what I see them do out on the trail because it's all learning to me and it's all going to help me. And just the fact that people are out there being patient with me and letting me come with them, like that sounds silly, but it's just like I didn't have that for such a long time. So I'm always just like super stoked to be around people and just be like learning everything I can. I'm trying to be like a sponge and soak everything up.
and I think that's phenomenal too, because now you're able to learn from so many different people and so many different aspects of
Mhm.
riding. And, you know, everybody came from a different place, right? And
Yeah.
also, everybody started at the same place as well. Everyone
Yeah.
came into hard enduro or whatever their off road riding experience was. And, you know, the first time that you see a log, even
Mhm.
a twig or a somewhat large branch, you know,
Yeah.
that's scary. It's a
Yeah.
big obstacle until you start
Yeah.
working on and learning those skills and
Mhm.
practicing and practicing and falling
Yeah.
and then learning how
Yeah.
not to fall. So I still
I'm an
remember my
expert at
first
falling.
log. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh goodness. I I think now I definitely have quite a few more bruises than I did when I was doing hair scrambles. However,
Yeah.
they're worth it, right? We're not breaking anything. We're doing well, knock on wood. But
Heck yeah.
I still remember the first log that I hit. I watched so many YouTube videos. I was like, I am ready. And this was a medium-sized tree. I thought I could do it, right? I was
Yeah.
ready. I was studying. And all I remember was just I tried to lift my front end up. And like I could do that without an obstacle. I think I freaked out
Mhm.
before I hit it. Just wedged my front tire, turned the bars, and I just went. I went flying one way, my bike went the other. And then I was like, all right, not that way. Not like that. And then
I
I
think
hit it
it's
again and I finally got it. But oh
I think
gosh.
it's so like when I do practice like that, um,
Yeah.
it's so important to record yourself, I think. Because we are so lucky to live in a time where we can do that, first of all, and it's like
Yeah.
easy. You know, you don't have to set up like a big camcorder or whatever. Like you could have done it in the 90s, but it wasn't as easy. Um, but like there have been so many times where I'm like, oh, I'm totally doing this. I got it. And then I watch the video and I'm like, oh, my
I
form is
didn't do it.
terrible. No.
It's like when
Like,
your
all right.
forks compress, like, I don't even know, like 2 feet before the actual obstacle, it comes back
Yeah.
up and then you're going down.
Yeah.
I
It's
used to
like,
do this thing where I'd bunny hop beforehand and I never knew I was doing it until I saw a video of myself doing it. I'm like,
mhm.
let's
Yeah,
not.
I record myself a lot. There's a lot of deleted footage out there. Because I'm like, oh, I
We
was
should
not
compile
doing
them
that
all and
right.
make a video. We gotta
It's
do.
deleted. It's deleted for a reason.
No! It might be in the cloud. The cloud
Oh
trash hidden in
god,
the
there
abyss
probably
somewhere.
is. Ooh. I'm gonna have to go through the cloud and delete all of that.
Delete the trash.
But it's
Gotta
so
remember,
funny
empty
because
it.
I oh, well, and some of it too just doesn't look like I'm doing things because I'm so small. So my body position versus your body
Uh,
position looks totally different. So, you know John Kroll.
mm.
When I first moved to Arizona, I started like posting videos of me trying to like do this little jump off of a rock. And I was just trying to get my front end up really. And I was just like using the rock. And he's like, "You've got to stand up." And I was like, I am standing up. And he goes, "No, you're sitting in that." And I was like, "No." And I took a screenshot of the video and I sent it to him. And I'm like, "That's me standing." And I was like, screenshot of me actually sitting doing it. And I was like, "This is me sitting." He goes, "There's not much of a difference." I was like, "I know." Like, oh my God. And the
I
amount of
think
times people have commented on my videos and they're like, "You should try putting your GoPro on your helmet, like on your chin or something." And I'm like, "That is my chin." Like,
I think it was
you
the first time that we rode together
mhm.
um, at Brown when we were at Brown Mountain,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we went out to Brown, and you made a comment like that, and this is the first time I rode with you. I had no idea, and you're like, yeah, like if you're behind me, sometimes you'll think that I'm sitting when I'm actually standing, and I was so adamant. I was like, I could definitely tell if she's standing or sitting, right? Like, there's no way. I will be honest, it does not. Sometimes there are times where I definitely think that you are sitting and you are full blown standing up. But I respect you so much more for that because I will be honest, my height has gotten me through many obstacles that I probably shouldn't have been able to get through because I'm almost 6 foot, right? I am definitely on the taller side of very long inseam, right? I am cheating sometimes. However, the fact that you're able to get through those with, I think you're a foot shorter than me, and you can't dab sometimes, all the respect to you. Because you
Oh my
basically
God.
have to learn these skills, right? Like other people can kind of float by if they're able to dab, but you have to learn these
Yeah.
skills on the bike, on the pegs. Like you
Yeah.
really need to work mind, body, bike. Everything needs to be so smooth with certain things that
Mhm.
you're hitting versus somebody else. So, I mean,
Yeah.
honestly, I respect you so much more and I respect your riding ability so much more for that because I'm able to see you go through all these things where I have to put a foot down. And meanwhile,
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
skipping through it and you're still staying on the pegs. So,
Trying.
hey, you're doing
Yeah.
it. You have done it. I've
Yeah,
watched.
like we went through that section and I'm sorry, I'm crying. It's just so funny. Um, we went through that section in Jack, I think it's Jack North, and like you were
Okay.
going, like you were right on me, and I was like, oh my God, like I've actually been through this before, but you were able to put your feet down, whereas like I was trying not to fall because
Yeah.
even when I was like slowing down to try and put my foot down, I was falling because there's nowhere to put my leg. So
Yeah.
that's actually so during King of Motos, I ended up pulling something in my side because I went to put my foot down and I actually slid off the rock and I slid like almost a foot down further and my one foot, like I'm usually off to the side and I have my like essentially for people listening, like my calf is on my seat to keep a little bit of pressure on there, but I can't touch other than being completely off the bike on one side. So I was trying to do that and my foot slid off of the rock and I slid down. And so now I am not this flexible, but my foot is up above my head on my bike and my other foot is now way lower. And I'm going, oh my God, I don't know what to do because I'm trying to hold the entire weight of my bike up above my head
Oh,
because if
good
it
Lord.
fell on me, it would have pinned me against the rock. And
Yeah.
everything in me was screaming, just do not let this fall on you. So I was trying to push it the other way. And when I did that, I felt something pull really bad on my right side. And it was like deep. I thought I gave myself a hernia, honestly. Like it hurt so bad. I was like, oh my God. And I deal with hernias all the time at work. So I was just like, I'm going to be like dealing with the specimen like on Monday
No,
when I get back
please
to work.
no.
But
Oh,
I don't think it was a hernia. I haven't had anything else. It just hurts. Like when I walk, I
yeah.
can feel it. It's like deep abs. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was like I was just like, oh my God, why couldn't I be like 2 inches taller? Just 2 inches taller. And I
It's
probably would have
almost
been
fun.
fine enough to reach because there was like two rocks essentially. And if I had been able to reach the one in the front, I would have been fine. But because I could only reach the one that had a point, I slid off of that point.
Yeah.
So because that one was taller. And then I ended up in that awkward position. So I was like, oh, this
Well,
hurts.
I'm glad that you made it out. You made it out
Yeah.
alive. So
Me too. Well, yes. The alive part wasn't really a question. It was just, how much pain I was going to be in.
the next podcast, we're actually going to be doing yoga and teaching how everybody could stretch pre and post race.
Oh my God. So actually the one of the things that I usually ask is like we're talking about racing is like how do you train and like what does nutrition look like? So I want to talk about that, but before we do, one of the things that I actually do because of the fact that I am so small is I focus a lot on mobility. So because of exactly this reason. Like now that I'm starting to get into harder stuff, if I didn't work on mobility like that, I put myself in some really weird situations on the bike sometimes because of being so small or because of like falling off or whatever. Like I have to have good mobility. And I still like, I mean, everybody could improve on mobility, I feel like, but incorporating that into my training has been vital because I can't just put a foot down 90% of the time and then I end up with my, toes above my head. It's awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you mentioned hair scrambles. So I want to talk about when you got into that, kind of like how that went for you and then what any kind of training or did you do any training before you started doing it?
Yeah. So I think everything in my, I don't want to say racing career.
Yeah.
It was very much so just going to a couple events and just trying it out.
Yeah.
Everything on my dirt career it was just as fast as you possibly could go into a sport. I basically did that. So the
Yeah.
only reason I knew about brushy was because I had done a hair scramble like 2 weeks before. It was my first hair scramble ever.
Oh. Okay.
And I just ended up there and my friends were like, do you want to do it? I'm like, do what? What are we doing? Are we going to go ride? They're
Yeah.
like, yeah, we have to pay like, $45 to do it. And I said, sure. Meanwhile, we all ended up at a race together, and then that was kind of my first race ever, my first time riding at Brushy. I had an absolute blast. I was never really a racer before. I was kind of a manager of events. I would always be at events. I was a spectator. I was working them, whatever the case may be. So I would never really call myself a racer. However, I went headfirst into a couple hare scrambles. I had an absolute ball of a time. I met Crystal, which you know as well.
Yes. Yeah.
She talked me off of the edge on the starting line. I was so nervous. I was so scared. And I'm like, can I just follow you? Like, do you mind if I just tail you for a little while? And I knew I had the riding capability, right? I knew I would be able to do it. It was just, the nerves of being on the line. So
Yeah.
did that, followed her. I realized then that, my fitness regime was more, I was very strength based when I went to the gym. I still am in a sense. However, flexibility is a huge thing, right? Putting your body, contorting your body in these weird directions, falling. I had to learn how to tumble. I haven't done that since, when we were tumbling and doing gymnastics when we were 6, right? So I definitely had to learn how to kind of roll, tumble again. I was a volleyball player in college. So a lot of that was a lot of floor time, right? A lot of falling. So I think that helped me a lot as well now. But I had to relearn a lot of those skills and just working on your flexibility, stretching, hydrating. It's a huge thing, especially being out there for hours. I no longer believe in 2-liter water packs. I think you need to have 3 and up and a refill station. Like, it is very important to stay hydrated. But I mean, I'm not a racer. I was an athlete, but not in any of these realms. But I think just hydration, stretching, and just taking care of your body as a whole, eating well. That's all I can suggest.
Eating some fresh grapefruits. Those are good.
All the grapefruits. I still have more. If anybody needs a grapefruit and they're at King of the Hammers right now, I have a giant bag of freshly grown grapefruits if anybody needs them. So
they're delicious. Absolutely delicious. So
juices, citrus, vitamin D. That's all you need.
Yeah, I think that, well, I was never an athlete before getting into riding. And so I did a couple races on my little TTR. They were not good. It was not a good time. But when I got the Husqvarna, I knew that I wanted to get into racing. I wanted to try at least. Somebody's got to come in last. So that was my thing. I just wanted the experience, and I didn't care. I don't have an ego about this stuff. Like, I really don't care if I'm the last person. Like, I would prefer it not be televised on all of YouTube, but I don't always get that choice. So I didn't care about that part, but I knew that I needed to start making changes, and I had been really sick prior to, my divorce and all of this. So I weighed a lot more. I think I was like 217 pounds. Just because I had been so sick, I'd been bedridden, all of these things, medication. But I knew I had to make changes in my diet and in my like workout and everything. And so when I started changing my diet, I was experimenting what's going to work best with making me feel the best. At the same time, this is parallel to my journey with running. And so I'm starting to try to ride a little bit more, but I'm definitely running more. And at this point, I'm starting to run 5 to 10 miles. And I realized I was just tired all the time. And I'm like, yeah, 5 to 10 miles is a lot, but now I'm doing it consistently for like 2, 3 months. And I'm like, why am I just so exhausted all the time? And for me, I found that the more I'm doing out there, whether it's an endurance on my feet or endurance on the bike, I needed more protein in my diet. And when I have more protein, my body works better. Now, that's me personally. Everybody's different. But I have to have a good balance of carbs and protein. And if I don't have a good balance, I can tell the difference immediately. So, and of course, veggies and all that, but like that's part of carbs, complex carbs and everything for people who are just getting into it. But there's a lot of people who don't know this stuff. So that's why it feels like over explaining sometimes. But yeah, like just focusing on what I'm putting in my body, and really my friends made fun of me when I first met the boys. The first ride that we were at, Mitch's dad made tacos, and I was like, I am stuck on my diet at this point. And I was like, no thanks. I need to, like, I have my meals already portioned out, like. And they were like, dude, it's a taco. And I was like, yeah, but like at this point, like I was like, this is what works for me.
Yeah.
And they were like, just take a freaking taco. And I was like, fine, give me the meat, just don't give me the tortilla. Like, and
Yeah.
they were like, seriously? And they still make fun of me about that. Um,
You're
but
disciplined.
the
Not many
I
people can say that.
needed to be at that time, because like
Yeah.
I was still building that habit. And I was just telling somebody the other day that, like, for me, it's been really hard this last couple months working as much as I have been, these 12 and 14-hour days, because I haven't been able to work out. I haven't been able to train. And for me,
Working,
that's
going
been
straight
hard.
to a race,
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. And that's
Uh,
mentally, like, hard for me. But I feel like that's a good thing, because it means that that's a habit that I'm not willing to break easily. Like, it bothers me that I haven't been able to train during the week. I'm only doing it on the weekends, and I'm not being able to stay as consistent. So I like that, even though it's hard mentally to deal with it. It means that I have that as a habit, and that it's not something that's just going to go away, which was always kind of my fear, is that, like, if I got injured or something, would it just go away and I would lose my fitness, or I would lose my drive or whatever. Um,
yeah.
so I think that in a way that all of this working, this extra work, has been a blessing in disguise, because it's shown me my drive is still there. Even though I haven't been able to do what I want, I still have that push, and I still am. Now I'm starting to figure it out and just trying to get back to it. So that was cool for me. But
Well, kudos to you, because like I said, not a lot of people do have that, or don't have that mentality, right? They're
yeah,
not able to be as driven and as committed to a diet, which is hard, right? Especially
yeah.
when there are people offering you delicious tacos after a long
Oh
day
my
of
God,
riding and you're
such
trying to
good
stay on a
tacos.
regimen. I understand it, but I respect it. I respect it that much more.
Yeah, yeah. And since then, I've definitely, like, I've been able to eat a little bit more flexible, I guess. Like, I'll
Yeah.
go out for sushi every once in a while, but
Yep.
the really good thing about living where I live is there's not a whole lot of fast food options. So
That's
it's
the
like
best
I have to drive like
thing.
15 minutes into town to get anything, and then it's like, do I really want to drive that far for like a McDonald's burger or Taco
Yep.
Bell? I hate Taco Bell anyway, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not worth
Yeah.
it. I'm just gonna suck it up and make something. So, um, yeah, it I kind of forced myself into it a little bit here, and that's what's helped build the habit, though. So I think that
Yeah.
that's important personally. Um, so you've traveled a lot with your job. Um, how many, do you know how many states you've ridden in? Oh, not a
Uh,
question, huh? That look. For anyone
um,
listening, she just went, whoa, on her face.
and,
Guesstimate.
so, uh, I'm trying to think about how many stickers I had on my first bike.
Yeah.
So my first bike was a TE 250. I had a
Mhm,
2021 TE 250i. So
mhm.
love that. That was my two stroke. And unfortunately, it was actually stolen the week before that I met you. Everything's
Yep.
fine. I'm not upset about it. It was actually one of the better things that happened to me. I kind of was able to shop around for bikes, seeing what really suited me, where that bike kind of just stumbled upon me.
Yeah.
However, with that bike, I believe I had Colorado, Oregon, the entire East Coast from Maine to Florida,
Wow.
Tennessee, Arizona, both of the Dakotas, the East Coast out to Vermont and all those surrounding states,
Mhm.
um, Pennsylvania. I can tell you the states that I haven't ridden in, and I think it's Hawaii,
That's
Texas.
probably
That'll probably be easier. Hawaii, Texas, I haven't ridden in, and Louisiana, I haven't hit either. So
wow. So you've got
I
a
probably have
lot.
about 5, and maybe Nebraska. No, I've never mind. I've ridden in Nebraska, but this is also amongst road as well. So
Oh,
there's
okay.
a lot of
Okay.
road biking. It's not all dirt biking. So my
Okay.
dirt biking, I had quite a few. I've hit a lot for dirt bikes, and then I've hit a lot of road as well. So
Okay.
kind of mixture.
I was like, dang, I have a lot of work to do.
Let's do it. I mean, hey, now that we're following the series around, right, we're able to
Mhm.
hit so many more states. I'm able to, Hawaii.
Yeah.
I have never dreamed. I haven't even been able to dream because I didn't think it was feasible to be able to ride in Hawaii, and now I get to go do
Yeah.
that next month. I am
Yeah.
stoked. Oh my goodness, but just the opportunity in itself is amazing. So,
This series has provided a lot of really cool places to ride, and I absolutely love the fact that we have such a variety. There's such different places, and if you can follow the whole series or even pick and choose where you go in the series, you can have such different terrain, from King of the Motos, which is rocks and sand, to
um,
brushy. Battle of the Goats last year was a slop fest in the clay,
slick moss.
absolutely horrific. um
Oh,
to then this last year at Donner we had snow and thunderstorms, and
yeah.
you get more rock, but it's a different kind of rock, there's not as much sand. Then you have like Page, which is like riding in Mars, and it's just totally different. Like
Yeah.
visually it's like everything's red and you're like everything is covered in red dust, like
Yeah.
it's crazy.
And
But
then when it gets wet, it's that red clay. It's interesting.
mhm,
It's interesting to see. But I think that anybody who is able to should
mhm,
follow as much of the series as they can. Even if you are an East Coast rider, come out to a West Coast event and make a trip out of
yeah,
it. Get you and your buddies. Like, come
yeah,
out. That's what I did. And honestly, it was one of the coolest things that I've ever done. I
mhm,
wasn't even involved with the West Coast of the series for US Hard Enduro. And I ended up on a trip. I had bikes. I was going to go ride in Oregon. And then I figured, why not do Donner as well? I did the Donner
mhm,
Hard Scramble the day after
yep,
our Hard Enduro. Had an
yep.
absolute blast. And, it's amazing just being able to see all these different sites. And if
Mhm,
if you're a West Coast rider, right? So you're West Coast, but you were able to ride brushy. That is
yep,
complete different terrain than what you're used
yeah,
to, but you become such a better rider because of it. So
yeah, yeah. And
just that.
I started, most of my riding was either Midwest or East Coast, so it was all woods riding in the beginning, and then I came out here and I was like, "What is this?" These rocks are totally different than what I've been used to. I mean, when I came West Coast, I had 60 hours on the Husky, so maybe
Yeah.
70 hours total on a bike ever. So, because I only had about 10 hours before I switched over to the Husky. It was several years, but it was not very much actual seat time because I rode maybe couple hours a year. And but yeah, the Husky had not very much time. And so I came out here, but to me it was a lot. To
Yeah.
me 60 hours is like a lifetime versus what I used to get. And so but I came out here and I was like, "Oh my God, everything's so different. Everything's hard. Rocks hurt. There's cactus everywhere. Like I fell into a toya, like, and I lived in the desert. I'm from the desert. I am from Arizona originally.
Yeah.
Lived in the desert most of my life. Never ever had cactus in my entire life. And then I started dirt biking, and the first time I'm out riding single track, essentially, I freaking fall into a cactus. Like hardcore, full stop, hands into it,
Yeah.
like cactus.
Ugh.
Yeah, it was
So
fantastic.
I
And then I
will.
like fell my side into it. I was like, oh my God, thank God for Shelly. Shelly is my godsend. She was behind me. Her bike was down before I could even pull myself off of the cactus. And she's like, "I've got tweezers." And she's over here. We just met like 20 minutes before this. And I was like, "This is the quickest somebody's ever got my shirt off." She just started laughing. She's a Marine, so she jokes like that. But yeah, so she's like over here like pulling like little spines out of my side and my butt essentially, and I'm like, I'm really glad I met you. Like we're about to be best friends.
We're really close now.
Yeah.
Goodness. I
Oh,
hate
very.
to.
Okay, so going back to your travel, you've gotten to go all over, so that's really, really cool. If you could have an all expenses paid trip anywhere in the world to go ride, where would you want to go?
Well, if somebody wants to pay for me to go to 6 days, I would love that. So I am Italian. Not a lot of people know my last name, my real last name is Etichetti. So it basically
Ooh.
rhymes with all of the pasta. Um, so very much so a Jersey Italian at heart. I love Italy. I actually partner with Sicily Motorcycle Tours.
Oh yeah.
So really good family friends. They run it. They do ironically enough, a 6-day motorcycle tour through Sicily where you can take Ducatis out, Harleys, and it's kind of this big ordeal. You get to go throughout the entire island and ride bikes. And that's just legendary in itself. However, I've never been able to see the dirt side of it. So
Yeah.
6 days has been on my radar and I really, really want to go. So I think that's going to be, if I can get all expenses paid to that, that would be my absolutely. I'm going, I'll stay there forever, eat all the food and then go ride the dirt bike everywhere. So that's my, that's
I think
my,
that's a good
dream.
one.
I would
Heck
love to.
yeah. I think a lot of people are going to be like, her last name's not Kay.
No, that's my last name is very difficult to spell and it rhymes with spaghetti, but
It rhymes with spaghetti. I love that. I've never heard somebody say their last name and then be like, it rhymes with this. I've legitimately never heard that. That was amazing. This is probably one of my favorite episodes. There's been laughing,
oh,
there's been crying, there's been all the emotions.
laughing until you cry,
That's
all the things.
yeah, yeah.
I,
That's the only way
I
I
think it
cry.
was
So.
really tough for us to, goodness, because we talk regularly, right? Like we're always having a phone call, a chat, whatever.
Yeah.
And little and nobody else knows this. However, we talked for like 45 minutes and we're like, hey, I think we should start doing this now.
Probably
It
do the
feels so
thing that we got
natural
on
too.
here to do.
Yeah.
But I think that's what's really great though about this podcast is like it's not a typical like rapid fire questions. It's not like
Yeah.
you're gonna ask I'm not gonna ask X, Y, and Z. It's a conversation just like we always have. And I think that's what I like about it. I like hearing the stories because then we're talking naturally just like we always do. We're finding out more about each other and but that's I think what people like about this podcast. And that's the feedback that I've received at least. So, and we
Yeah.
do have people in Italy who listen to this podcast, so that'll be really cool. And I'm 80% sure there's people in Sicily that listen to this, so that'll be really cool.
Well, that would be
So,
awesome. Yeah.
maybe, if you're out there and you're listening and you're in Sicily, you know somebody who can sponsor her, get her out
I'll
there.
pop over. I'll be there. We'll do a road
In a
tour and then the dirt tour.
heartbeat.
We'll do both.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. 100%. I think
Absolutely.
that'd be really cool. Italy would be awesome. That's always kind of been a place that I wanted to go anyway, but
Ooh.
a lot of times people ask me that same question and I'm like it changes every single time that I answer it. 'Cause
Yeah.
like my friend Anita is in Iceland and I really want to go ride there. I've always wanted to go to Iceland for like years and years and years. And then I
Yeah.
found out you can dirt bike there and I was like, "Oh, I have to go. Like that's going to be
Oh yeah.
so cool." I've seen pictures and videos of it. It's gorgeous.
We have
Oh
to
my
start
goodness.
planning our trips. We'll make a list of
We
all
have
the
to
places
win the
that we need to
lottery.
go. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll just go there. We'll go there, we'll show up and we'll say, hey, can we please have a
I'm just
bike?
gonna I'm just
So
gonna live with Anita. Like she said she'd have a bike for me and I was like, I'm just gonna move in. I'm just gonna come out there and
yeah.
I'm staying.
If I have a
You're
bike,
gonna
then I'm happy.
adopt me. I'm pretty sure I'm older than her, but she's gonna adopt me.
I think some of the most legendary trips that I've had have had something involving bikes. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but I guess with, you know, with your passion with bikes, with your passion with dirt
Mhm.
bikes, whatever it is, if you're able to have that with the trips that you're taking, not only are
Yeah.
you going to a new place that's gorgeous or has something else to offer that you're not used to, but you're also able to bring that little slice of home and have your, you know, have a little bit of riding time. I actually,
Yeah.
there's a fun little story if we have time for it.
Yeah.
So when I was in Greece. I went with a friend in college, and
Mhm.
me and her were visiting her family. She, you know, she was from Greece. She was from a small town right outside of Athens, and we ended up going there and just we were, you know, chatting with the family, and they knew how immersed I was with bikes and all of that.
Yeah.
And a good friend of theirs, he was an Irishman, and he still keeps in contact with me to this day. Him and his wife rode, and
Mhm.
his wife had given me the bike to use for the week while I was there. So I was
Mhm.
able to basically go along the coastal line of Greece on this. Oh my goodness. I think it was a Suzuki Intruder, I believe. And
Wow.
the Suzuki Intruder that I'm using from like 1994, whatever. It was an older bike, but I was so happy, and I was able to go on the coastal line. We went to the oh goodness, Poseidon's Tower, Poseidon's ruins. So we were able to ride to the
Mhm.
ruins all along the coastal line, and it was one of the most legendary experiences I've ever had. And then I went swimming in the ocean right afterwards. We were all just hanging out. We had our tail car, so all of the stuff was just carried. We were able to do
Oh
all
my
these things all
God.
because this wonderful man was able, or it was a wonderful couple was able to give me a bike to use, and just
Yeah.
it made my trip that much better. And it was just, it's something that I'll always hold close to my heart, and I'll have so much respect for them. And when they came to the US, you know, I set them up with bikes and we went on rides, and it's just to be able to give that experience to someone and then give it back as well, it's just so wholesome,
Yeah.
and it creates that bond. So I
Yeah.
think just motorcycles in general, no matter what you're doing, it always brings people together.
Yeah, I think that it always goes back to community. Like you have the passion and it's a shared passion. And in general off-road, because I even went to that dirt expo and that had side by sides and Jeep people and everything. And there were so many people who came over to the booth. We had my bike on display, full dented pipe, scratched everything. When Justin asked me to display my bike, I was like, let me get a new pipe and plastics. He's like, no, 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 I want it looking just like this. And I was like, why? And then when
Because
we were there,
you're
I
using
found out
it.
why. Exactly. I can't tell you how many people stopped and they were like, this is what a bike should look like. A bike has been used. It doesn't look brand new. And I was like, well, I really wish that you guys would say this like on record. Um, because
Take that
like,
in writing.
yeah, I was like, Matt Adams looks at my bike and he just like cries every time. Um, my bike My bike is not up to
Oh,
Champion Brick standards. Sorry. Um, but it was so cool because these are Jeep people and side by side people who have no idea what hard enduro is. And we're there
yeah.
talking about King of the Motos but every single person, especially after finding out it was my bike and seeing me, every single person was so supportive and just like, oh, it'd be really cool. I'm gonna be at Hammers, so I'll be looking for you, and which is scary. Um but it's that community, it's that off-road, it's and probably the same thing. I wasn't really ever around street bikes a lot. I've been on them, but like not around the community. But I would assume bike people are bike people no matter where. It's just that we hard enduro people are a little bit crazier than everybody else, I think. um but that's why we all get along so well. Like,
Yeah.
and I always say, like, there's those people who sometimes at events you're just like, oh my God, really? But in your family, you always have that like weird uncle or that crazy aunt or, that one person that you're like, they're still family though. And it's just, that one person who's a little crazier than everyone else, but it's fine. There's levels. Um,
Are you calling us the weird uncle? Is the hard enduro rider the weird uncle or the weird aunt?
Yeah, exactly.
Look at
That's
that.
exactly. So, like you have that aunt who's like the crazy one. She's kind of weird, but she's like traveling all over the world and doing really cool stuff. Everybody wants to secretly be her, but at the same time, they're not going to say that out loud. And I feel like that's hard
So,
enduro. So
Why is that so on point with majority?
it's right. It is. I literally just came up with that right now. So
Well, it's gonna stick. It's gonna stick.
I like it. I like it. We're the weird, crazy ant. The rich ant. I wish I was rich.
Rich in
Um,
rich in
there you
experience.
go. Exactly. Rich in experience. I like that. That's what we'll go with. Um, there was something else I was gonna ask you, I don't remember now. Shoot. My brain just went totally wrong. Okay. So if you were gonna give advice to somebody who's brand new on a dirt bike in general, just got their bike, and they're asking you for advice, what is the best advice you would give them?
Oh, well, something that hit home for me when I
Mhm,
first started, at least with hard enduro,
mhm.
was
Well,
don't be
not hard
afraid.
enduro specific, but
Oh, just dirt biking in
just
general.
dirt biking in general. Yeah.
I think this still sticks. I think even if you're just off road in general, my advice is don't be afraid to drop your bike. That was a really difficult one for me, and no one
Yeah.
really told me that until I started doing much harder trails. But I will be honest, I think I was on the verge of getting seriously hurt because my bike was pretty. My bike was brand new, and it was like this new
Yeah.
shiny thing that I had. And coming from the street, you don't drop your bike. You never drop your bike. It never,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
pavement. That's a really bad sign. However, when it comes to dirt, I think, it's a dirt bike, right? The plastics are replaceable. They're cheap, right? The parts that would break on a tip over, if anything even breaks, they are cheap. They're replaceable. I say don't be afraid to drop it. If it's you or the bike, it's the bike 100% of the time, right? Everything
Hmm.
is replaceable. You are not.
Yeah. That was something that I talked about with James Flynn because he said he always holds onto the bike. And I was like, dude, just let it go. And he's like, no.
Yeah. I mean, in some instances, don't get me wrong, like hold on to it. However, I think that I was stuck in a lot of situations where I would hold on to the bike too long, where if I didn't have footing or if there was something that could honestly hurt me, instead of
Hmm.
just hurting the bike, I'd rather, and just a slow tip over, just let it tip over, let it fall on that
Hmm.
rock. Don't try and save it with your hand where your hand could get hurt. Like that's even
Yeah.
more dangerous, I feel like. So
Yeah.
that's
I think
my,
that goes back to what you said earlier about learning how to fall properly. Like, I think that that's a
that's,
big thing. Like, whether
yeah,
it's your body, or letting the bike fall and then you kind of staying on top of it. Because that's what I've done a lot.
yeah,
I can clear, like, I clear out of where my bike is. I'll like jump off of it if I can, but if there's a sketchy
yeah,
spot, and I will like throw myself on top of my bike essentially.
yeah,
And the pipe is very hot. Um
yeah. And
but
it can burn you, so be careful.
it can, but I would rather have that burn than fall down the side of a cliff, because I've done
Yeah,
that before too. So,
it's, yeah, it's definitely
okay,
gauging the danger.
definitely, yeah. And I think that's another skill, right? Off-road gives you that skill too, if you have
Yeah,
enough seat time, because that's something that I've been learning too. Sometimes the things that I think that are dangerous aren't always dangerous, but that's part of that whole, you think the rock is big until you go over it and you realize your bike is going to take it, and you
yeah.
know it's all seat time. um okay, so then, now pointed towards hard enduro, what's your best advice for somebody who's new to hard enduro?
It's gonna be the same exact advice. So a really good friend of mine. So he was my intro to hard enduro.
Mhm,
And I have a lot of, just everything I have to thank him for. So the first time that we went out, or one of the first times that we went out, I was very, this was my issue. I didn't want to drop my bike. I didn't want to scratch my bike. I didn't want it to not be as pretty as it was right off the showroom floor. Um, we were going on a really hard trail at Brown Mountain. So it was one of my
mhm.
first few times going to Brown. I want to say it was 1B, but it seemed a lot larger when it was newer to me, right? But
Yeah.
we were going to Brown, And before we hit the trail, he was like, you need to push your bike over. Just let
Yeah.
her fall. Just like just tip it over. That's it. Just push it over and that's it. Let it hit the ground, because I had never let it hit the ground before.
Yeah.
So I pushed my bike over. It saw the ground. I got a little scratch on my front cowl, and that was it. And then from there, it was game over. From there, I figured out that I can get scratches. I can be okay, and the bike will still be fine and still be running. And I started hitting a lot more obstacles because I knew I could do it. However, if I even thought that my bike would get hurt, I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
And it boosted my confidence. It helped me become such a better rider. I was hitting obstacles where, even though I knew, okay, if I hit it this way, I could go down, right? My bike could fall
Mhm.
down. I could fall off. I could do X, Y, and Z, but it really pushed me to try those new things rather than being too cautious. I think I was overly cautious as a rider because I wasn't just trying to protect myself. I was trying to protect the machine as well.
Mhm.
So that it really helped me. So
That's good. That's awesome. Some solid advice. I like
in
that.
short, just drop kick your bike in the parking lot before you go on the trail.
Just chuck it on the ground. It's
That's it.
fine.
Just
What is
throw
it?
it on the
There was
ground.
a girl. There was a girl who made a reel in the last couple of weeks. At least that's when I saw it. And she's like, "You've got to show dominance to your bike. You got to show it who's boss." And she just like kicks it over. It's just like, oh my god, that's what that just reminded me of.
Yes, drop kick your bike just one time, and then you'll be set. You'll be great for the rest of the season.
Oh my god, I
This
love
might
it.
be horrible advice, so I don't know if I'm the best person to take it from. However, as a beginner, that is what I needed. That is what I
I
needed
think
to succeed and become better.
Yeah, and I think that that's actually really important because a lot of the clinics that I've been to, and I've been to a decent handful of them, a lot of the times, especially for women, we're afraid to drop our bikes. And like, I think that it's this whole thing of like, if I drop it, then I'm gonna be seen as not good, and if I am not seen as good, then I'm not gonna be invited, and then people are gonna be disappointed. And as women, I feel like more of us have that kind of train of thought. Not all of us, but I definitely feel like it's more commonplace among women, at least what I've experienced. So I think that that's actually a really good thing to point out for any level, for people who haven't heard it before. It is okay to drop your bike. We all do it. We all fall. We all send our bikes. Um,
Yeah,
I've seen the pros do it. All of those things. I've seen them fall. I've seen them drop their bikes. I've seen them send their bikes. Like it happens.
yeah.
So
How are you
you're
going to
not the
learn?
only one. Exactly.
If
Exactly.
you don't try it, how are you going to learn? If you're too scared to
Mhm.
try it, then you're never going to be able to
Ex-
experience how to not, or what not to do, right? And
Exactly. Exactly.
if you do it in a safe environment, right? If you do it
Mhm.
with other people around you, I
Yeah.
won't hit gnarly trails unless I am with a core group that I know, hey, if something goes sideways, I will be safe. My bike will be able to
Mhm.
get towed out of there. We always have a
Yeah.
tow strap. We always have something for emergencies. If you do it and
Mhm.
you're smart about it, right?
Mhm.
What's the harm? You're just
Yeah.
going to be better as a rider.
Yeah, exactly. And that goes back to like me, like my core group that I ride with is a bunch of people who are way better than me. And I get brought to things that to me are really scary, and a lot of times to them they're not that hard, but to me it's outside of my skill set, it's outside of my comfort zone, and I get pushed, but I'm pushed in the safest environment that I can be in. I am pushed
Absolutely.
by people who have been there, who know how to negate the scary parts of it. There was something that we did like a month or so ago, and like I was literally so scared. I was shaking. And it's the first time I've gotten that scared on the trail, and I was like kind of frozen. I wouldn't move. And then, you know, uh, the other Cody, there's two Codys. There's the Cody that I've been riding with forever, and then the other Cody who's newer to me, but
Yeah.
he like actually he was like going up above me and he kept knocking rocks down on me, and I was like, dude, you and your rocks. And it scared me, like it got me out of my scared mode, and because I was
Yeah.
literally frozen on the bike. Like I have GoPro video and I'm just standing there staring straight, like not moving. And I was just so scared. It wasn't even that big of a fall. It was like a 15-foot
Yeah.
fall, but it was like gnarly looking rock. You can't really tell where the trail is because there's not really a trail. You're like side hilling a rock, and
Yeah.
it's not pretty. Um, but when so Cody's like trying to go above me or whatever, knocking rocks on me. I'm like, dude. And then it snapped me out of it. And I was like, okay, he wouldn't be doing that if this was the point where I'm gonna die. If they truly thought that there was something that I wasn't gonna be able to do, they're gonna get off their bikes. And then
Yeah.
Cody walked over to me and I was like, okay, he's off his bike. I was like, oh great. But he sat there, he walked me through it, and when I did end up slipping, he grabbed the bike. And, that is the safest that I could have ever done that.
Yeah.
And like previous to that, there was a different section where I was going down this super insane downhill. I've never been down anything that steep before. And the
Yeah.
other Cody that was knocking rocks on me actually knocked rocks on me in that section too. I think he has it out for me. Um, but he like was waiting at the top. I think I posted the video where
Yeah.
I was like, why is he standing there? I don't like the fact that he's standing there because they don't stand there and wait unless something's really gnarly. So when I saw him there, I was like, why? Why is he there? And Mitch is just laughing in the background. Um, but but when I got to that section, it was some very skinny single track on a hillside, and they know that I'm terrified of that. So, they were there to help negate that for me and to help me navigate it too, because they know that I tend to freeze up when I see that kind of exposure and I don't have somewhere to like put a foot or whatever. I just like internally freak out. And they're so good about, being there and making sure that it's as safe as we can be in the environments that we go into. Because
Exactly.
you could, you could just be out on flat road and, something will go wrong and you could break a leg or break your arm. And, you could do that in your car too. Nothing is perfectly safe unless you live in a bubble. So, um, but I think that a lot of us are smart enough to have a core group, like you said. I do ride
Yeah.
alone a lot, but I don't ride alone to do that kind of stuff. I do
Yeah.
a lot of my same little loops that I have, and I, don't venture too far out of my comfort zone when I'm doing that. That's my training. That's not me
Mhm.
pushing myself. I push myself when I'm with my group. So
Which is
I think
smart.
that,
Very
yeah.
smart. And it's good to have
And I
that core group as well.
and I always carry my Garmin when I'm out there. Because my Garmin
That's
InReach is gonna save my life one day. Like, I seriously, like, Rich Larson talked about it, and like I won't go out without it ever since that happened for him when he broke his femur. Like,
yeah.
I cannot imagine doing that and crawling out. Like, that man's insane.
If you have to, though, I mean, that was kind of at that point, right? You had to get out of that situation. It was
Yeah,
literally life or death. So, yeah.
yeah,
I think
that's true.
one odd thing that I have been asked a lot when
Mhm,
it comes to the comparison between, so my realms would be US Hard Enduro and then
mhm.
motocross.
Yeah.
I think for some reason I see US Hard or I see Hard Enduro or just the series in general or
Mhm,
just the riding that it's so much safer than everything that I've experienced in the motocross realm. And the
mhm,
motocross realm, you are very close knit with each rider. It is a much smaller course.
mhm,
However, injury wise, so being an official, right? I usually had a team. I had flagging teams. I had the
mhm,
Alpine Star Protect team on site with
mhm,
me at all times. We had so many things in place. However, I have never felt so safe on a hard enduro course versus a motocross track. I have
mhm.
seen broken legs, broken femurs, broken wrists. I've seen broken wrists on first turn just because of just the speed that they're getting up to so fast. And if
Mhm.
there's just a slight alter in the track that you don't notice, that it could
Yeah.
be detrimental. Coming down from a triple, a lot of the times I'm based right on that downslope. I've seen so many things happen, and
Mhm.
I know it's tough to compare. However, I just I've never felt so safe on one of these disciplines as I do in hard enduro. And I know that sounds so backwards, but it really is true, because you do have these people surrounding you, and these obstacles, you're not flying through the air, which is nice, or at least you shouldn't be. Usually you shouldn't be on one of our courses, so hopefully not.
I don't know. I've seen those pro guys drop down off of some pretty gnarly stuff. They're in the
That is
air and
true.
it's scary, but yeah.
You're not. Some of them are getting
Usually.
airtime. Yeah,
Yeah.
usually, hopefully it's controlled, right? And
Yes.
not that either one is not, but I don't know. It's just the injury rate seems to be, it's just such a drastic change. But I
Yeah.
don't know. I don't know how you feel about that comparatively, right? But
I do like I have seen that cuz like so just looking on like Instagram in the past year, I have seen at least 4 women who have had some sort of neck or spinal injury.
mhm.
One that was supposed to be full paralysis from her mid back down. She has now been, I don't know if you know who Taylor is. She runs a group out of Australia. I'll have to send you her page, but she ended up
Yeah,
getting paralyzed from her like mid back down, was told she's never going to walk again, was told she's never going to ride again. She is now riding a Stark Varg that has been adapted for her. She is getting to the point where she can stand. She has like leg braces to like hold her legs straight to show she can stand. But this girl is a badass. She is like coming back from it. They didn't think she would ever be able to get to the point that she is right now, and she's not going to let anything stop her. She is just absolutely amazing to watch, and seeing her journey, everyone was so heartbroken when she got injured. And then like she shared her depression, she shared her losing her identity,
yeah,
and she has shared what she's been doing since then, all of the intense therapy, everything she does. And she is so supported by the community, and it is absolutely amazing to see it. But that was one of the worst injuries that I've seen, and that was a moto injury. There was a girl, Nadine, who broke her neck a couple years ago. I've seen so many people with broken ribs and femurs, like you said.
yeah,
There's a lot less of that in hard enduro. Um, I know of an arm, 2 legs, and of course we all know about Rich Larson, his femur. Um, and then 1 rib in the last year that I can recall personally from seeing on Instagram, because it was like a big deal enough to be, on
yeah,
the feed on Instagram. And that's, like you said, it's a lot less. And a lot of it, a lot of it's just a simple tip over, you put your arm out and now it's broken. Like you didn't
unfortunately.
need to like put your arm out like that, but um versus the high
Yeah,
speed. And I think that speed to me is scary. One of my best friends almost died this year because he was doing a desert race. He was going about 100 miles an hour in the desert, and he doesn't really know what happened, but he woke up, got back on the bike, and he's insane because he rode several miles with like broken, I don't remember, something in his shoulder area. He had to have a
yeah,
cadaver tendon put in, and like he broke something in his face. He had like a concussion. Like he ended up getting back, and he had multiple seizures once he got back after he got the bike back. But that's going 100 miles an hour. Like he is so lucky to be alive, and we are so incredibly thankful that he's okay.
yeah,
Um, but like that's terrifying to me. And speed is the factor on that. He thinks that he said that he thought he just hit a square edge and that was just it. That's what made him go down. There was several
yeah,
really gnarly uh crashes in that race, and it's all just because of the speed. And I mean, it's a race, so it's what people do. You're never going to tell people not to do it, but
yeah.
s- speed's a huge factor for the severity of those injuries, in my opinion.
And bikes are getting faster, people are getting faster. It's just continuously
Hmm.
gonna get faster and faster. So
Yeah. That's why I
yeah,
think it's really cool that there's technology out there like I think it's Alpine Stars who has that like airbag thing.
yeah,
I think that's really cool concept. It's very expensive for most people, but if you think about the cost of like how much is it going to cost you if you break your ribs, if you're out of work, all of these things that we all have to think about. So the offset is $1,000, I think it is,
Yeah.
for one of those. It's a lot of money, but is it worth the
Yeah.
investment? If you're doing those high speed things, definitely. If you're doing Baja or whatever, I definitely think that's something that people should look into. My personal opinion, everybody's
Absolutely.
different, but if I was gonna do one of those, that would be the only way that I would probably do it. Be like, somebody get me that, and then we'll talk.
Yeah. Keep me safe. Yeah, I
Yeah.
totally understand. Just with technology right now as well. And we even saw at the AIM Expo, right? That just happened
Hmm.
in January. There's so many things that are coming out with like AI protection, right?
Hmm.
Sensors, being able to
Hmm.
see in your rear view while you're riding, whether you're
Hmm.
street, dirt, whatever the case may be. There's so much going into it. And technology is changing so fast, so quickly. Yes, we're also coming up on more speed. However, we're also coming up on a lot of new safety tactics,
Hmm.
right? So we have all of
Yeah.
these things in place, which I'm trying to follow along myself. However, it's a little bit overwhelming sometimes seeing everything that's coming out. But
Yeah.
we even,
Yeah.
oh, I saw the craziest thing when we were there. It was, it's a in your drop down visor, there's a heads up
Hmm.
display, and it's a rear view
Hmm.
camera. So when
Yeah.
you are on tracks, anything, instead of taking that split second to turn around and see who's behind you, you just have it in
Yeah.
your heads up.
Just like
So
boop,
you just have
right
it.
there. Yeah.
Your speed, everything's going on. So instead of looking down, looking at your dials, you have it just in your
In
helmet
that
now.
split second, you're right there, and your focus can still be partially forward. That's really
Because
great.
that split second can cost you a
Hmm.
lot of things. It can cost you time, and there's only certain times that you can look. Also,
Hmm.
it could, help save you if there is someone on your tail, right? Or if you are getting
Hmm.
lapped at high speed, you're able to
Hmm.
see what's going on behind you and not just be reliant on said flaggers, or even if you have flaggers. So
Yeah. That's really
it's
cool.
cool.
It's it's really interesting time to be living in because there's so much technology happening around the world in general. And so for it to be coming into the motorsports world, I think that's huge and that's really indicative of how far motorsports can go. We just talked about the growth of King of the Motos. Growth of motorsports in general has been happening. And I think that seeing that kind of technology come into this space is huge because that shows that people are trying to be proactive about it. And it's giving a space for people to merge the, I don't want to say, like, I guess for lack of a better term, the intelligence side of the world with what we do, where a lot
Yeah.
of people think that it doesn't take a lot of intelligence to ride a dirt bike. I think it takes a lot. um I've heard
Or
people say, "Oh, it's just easy. You just sit on the bike and you don't really do anything." Like, no, that's not how it goes. Like, you have to do a lot. There's a lot of thinking. There's a lot of moving. There's a lot of everything. But having that intelligence come in and help make everything safer, I think that's just awesome. Awesome to see.
absolutely.
So I'm excited. Thanks for sharing that because it's really cool. We haven't seen everything from the AIM Expo, so I didn't have time to go through everything from it. So, like all the
There's a
stuff that was
lot.
like put out and released, and I was like trying to keep up with all of that stuff, and I was like, there's so many updates, I could not see them all. So, so it's cool.
It was definitely overwhelming. I think my I have another little tidbit.
Yeah.
WMX, so Women's
Mhm.
Motocross, they just partnered with
Yes.
Synergy. So now
Yeah.
we are going to see some screen time for women's motocross on Peacock, which I
Yay!
am very excited about. That is the first time in history that we've ever had that. And it's also the first time in history that we've had so many women involved in this sport, just in motorsports in general.
Yeah.
So big thumbs up for that. Very excited to see what's coming out. So thank you,
Heck
Synergy.
yes.
If anybody from there is even watching, but it's a big step. So I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think even in general, since I started with US Hard Enduro and like following the series a couple years ago, uh,
Mhm.
seeing the amount of women at this race this last weekend, King of the Motos, there was 8 pro
Mhm.
women, I think, and then 3 amateurs. That's a lot for a hard enduro.
Oh yeah,
So that was really, really cool considering the first hard
double
enduro I went
digit.
to. Yeah, the first one I went to, I think there was 2 women. So
Yeah.
seeing that growth, seeing the fact that US Hard Enduro is supporting that growth with women, trying to help with things like pulling with Louise Forsley to help with clinics, and Cody Webb and Max Gersten, and everybody's like so
Yeah.
supportive of the women. I can't tell you how many people were wishing me luck on the way out there, and it was really, really cool. So I think that the sport is growing for women, and we're the smaller discipline in general versus like motocross.
Yeah.
But the fact that we have had so much growth in the last 2 years that I can visibly see as an outsider, I'm not privy to all the stuff that you are. That's still really, really like motivating for me, because it's like I'm not going to go and line up and be the only woman, and that's so cool because nobody wants to go line up by themselves.
I mean, even comparatively, though, not even just motocross, even with the Hare Scramble series,
Yeah.
right? Or doing anything along those realms. I remember going to
Mhm.
my first race and there was, I think, 3 women, and that was it,
Yeah.
right? And that was it was one women's class. There was no pro women. There was just
Yeah.
women. That was it. And
Yep.
there were 3. So it's definitely cool to see that, Hard Enduro being a growing series and
Mhm.
seeing how many have come out, out of 100, 100 and somewhat, we're already in the double digits for having women out there. That's pretty impressive.
Yep.
And comparatively to the last 5 years, 10 years, that's a
Yeah.
lot, a huge,
Yeah.
huge step. So it's
Yeah.
exciting
I
to
love
see.
that. I love that. We're in such a good time for the sport, so it's really cool. And then we get to, we're like best friends long distance across the country, and we're able to like do all of this and see all of this and share. Well,
Yeah.
right now we're on the same coast, but like, it's freaking awesome. I just
I
love it. Just
know.
love everything about it. So, well, in our last couple minutes here, this is your time for any thank yous or shout outs.
Oh boy. Okay. Well,
Put you on the spot here.
um, friends, family, everybody who's been supportive and involved. My parents for getting me involved with riding. I'd love to thank Kove, Alex Miraz, Legends and Heroes. They've been phenomenal. AG1 has been great. Seat Concepts. I have, oh goodness, Husqvarna, I guess, in a sense as well. They've been great and
Mhm.
so responsive. Liat, oh goodness. Just Joe Henner with Kobe has been one of just the best people to work with. They've been phenomenal. TNT Motorsports out of New York, they've been great as well. Just everybody that you as well. Oh my gosh, yes, bringing me out on trails and pushing me harder and harder to ride harder every single day. I appreciate that as well. Just so many people. Matt Musgrove, US Hard Enduro, the entire team, they've been great. And I'm just
Mhm.
so grateful to be in the position that I am right now, and just diving headfirst into everything. It's been wonderful.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. I know you're super busy with hammers and everything that's going on, and you guys have some stuff to get to, but I really do appreciate you sitting here with me and talking and chit-chatting in a more professional setting than we normally chat. But this was really cool. I learned a lot, and I absolutely love this. So, thank you.
Me too. Me too. And then if anybody also that's watching, if they're still at Hammers or if you're coming back out to ride, definitely say hi, say hello,
Yes.
check it out.
Look up. She's tall. So look up.
I have to look down, I think is the issue.
Yeah. I literally went up to her and we were in line for food, and I tapped on her shoulder and she looked straight, and I was like, look down. And she's like, oh,
Hello. Oh, I think me
hello
and
down
you are probably
there.
the only ones that will ever have that problem.
Oh, it's hilarious though. No, because like if I do that to Cody Webb, same thing. He's freaking
It's true.
I just I just kick him in the ankle, you know.
Go for the knees.
He's got bad
Oh,
knees. I'm not
good.
gonna do that. Ankle, as far as I know, hasn't been hurt. So
Good. We're gonna keep it that way. Oh goodness. Well, thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate
thank
it. This is
you. And
phenomenal.
yeah, this is really fun. We'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah.
All right. Bye.